Last thing I want to cover before we open it up for questions is whistleblower claims, because this is something that I think is flying below the radar and is important to keep in mind. So whistleblower claims is where an employee complains about some unlawful work practice. And it could be a wage and hour violation. It could be, harassment or failure to provide reasonable accommodations, or it could be a complaint that somebody in the organization is doing something that violates any law. I have cases where people claim that a supervisor stole something from them and they complained about it. And of course, stealing is a violation of the law. So their complaint about that violation of the law would trigger a whistleblower claim if the employee says, hey, I complained and then later I got fired. I believe it was because I complained. That's a whistleblower complaint. So if an employee is disciplined in any way or terminated following a complaint, that can lead to a whistleblower claim. And here's where the new law comes in. This new law creates a rebuttable presumption of retaliation. So what does that mean? What it means is that if you discipline or discharge somebody within 90 days of them submitting the complaint, the presumption is that you, the employer, took that action in retaliation for the employee bringing forth the complaint. And so now you're obligated to rebut the presumption. In other words, if it happens within 90 days of the complaint that you terminate this employee, you are now guilty until you prove yourself innocent, which means you have to have documented evidence. I'm going to emphasize that, of your non-retaliatory reason for termination or discipline. Okay? It can't be, well, this employee wasn't performing well and I sent them a couple emails and then we decided to terminate them. That is not going to be sufficient to rebut the presumption. You need to follow progressive discipline, have that documented, go through verbal warning, written warning, final written warning, and have all your ducks in a row before you make a decision to terminate someone who has made a complaint. So my caution to you is be very aware if employees bring forth complaints in the workplace of whether or not that's the kind of complaint that could trigger a whistleblower claim. And then within that 90-day period especially, but in general, make sure that your supervisors, your managers are doing what they need to do to document what the problems are with this employee. Because I can see this exploding we already get a lot of whistleblower complaints, but I can see this really taking off because all the plaintiffs' attorneys out there are now going to know that the burden is even more on the employer than it was before in terms of proving that they didn't retaliate based on whistleblower status.